You ever sit there staring at your phone, trying to figure out the perfect thing to text her? You type something, then delete it. Try again. Delete again. And after 20 minutes of mental gymnastics, you finally send something simple like, "Hey, what's up?" Then comes the waiting game. 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours later, she replies with, "LOL." That one-word reply hits different, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, was it something you said? Were you too boring, too available, or did she just lose interest? Most guys don't get it, but texting isn't about how funny or charming you are. It's not about trying harder. It's about how you make her feel when your name shows up on her screen. And the truth? If she doesn't feel a spark, if your message doesn't shift her emotional state even a little, she's not going to care. You become just another guy in her inbox, easy to ignore. But here's the wild part. The guys who get it, the ones who don't chase, don't overthink, and don't try to prove anything, they stand out without even trying. Why? Because they're grounded. They have that stoic calm. They don't need validation from a reply. And that confidence, it's magnetic. If you stay with me till the end, I'm going to show you 3 simple texting moves that flip the entire dynamic, including one subtle line you can use after she ghosts you that makes her rethink everything and start chasing you instead. Let's get into it. This isn't going to be one of those generic text her good morning or compliment her more guides. That stuff sounds sweet, but it doesn't work the way you think it does, especially not with the kind of women you're actually interested in. What I'm about to show you is based on something deeper. It's the psychology of tension, attraction, and control. The same principles used by Stoics who mastered self-discipline and influence without ever raising their voice or chasing approval. If you understand these principles, you can flip any texting interaction in your favor. You'll stop reacting to her mood swings and instead, you'll guide the entire conversation without looking needy or overinvested. And the best part? You won't have to fake anything. You just need to remove the wrong habits, replace them with better ones, and the results come fast. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through 3 powerful texting secrets most guys will never figure out. Secrets that make your texts stand out in a sea of boring, try-hard messages. Secrets that make her wait for your replies, read into your silences, and feel pulled toward you without even understanding why. And when we get to the third one, the final move, I'll show you exactly what to do when she stops replying, pulls away, or suddenly seems busy. It's not about chasing her or calling her out. It's about making one shift that brings the attention back to you without saying a word. Let's break down the first secret. This one's going to sting a bit, but once you get it, everything else gets easier. Secret 1. Stop being nice over text. It's killing attraction. Most guys think being nice over text is the way to win her over. Like, if you're sweet enough, responsive enough, always there to say, "Good morning," or "How was your day?" she'll eventually fall for you. But what actually happens? She gets bored. Fast. She starts replying later and later. Her messages get shorter. And before you know it, you're stuck watching those 3 dots appear and disappear while she decides whether you're worth replying to. What you need to understand is, nice texting isn't kindness. It's neediness in disguise. Being too available, replying instantly, double texting when she takes a while, or constantly trying to keep the conversation going. It kills the mystery. She doesn't feel anything because there's no tension, no spark. You're giving her all the control, all the comfort, and 0 reason to lean in. Now imagine the opposite. You send a thoughtful, calm message, and if she replies dry or late, you don't chase. You don't panic. You don't send a follow-up like, "Did I say something wrong?" or "You there?" You just leave it. You stay silent. That silence, it creates tension. She starts wondering why you didn't react. She checks your socials. She rereads the last message. That's when curiosity turns into attraction, because now you're not playing the predictable role. You're not another guy trying to please her. You're the one she can't figure out. And that makes her think about you way more than any compliment ever could. The Stoic mindset is all about staying grounded, detached from the outcome, and not seeking validation. When you bring that energy into your texts, you automatically separate yourself from 99% of guys out there. You're not rude, you're just centered. You have your own rhythm, your own life, and if she wants to be part of it, she's welcome. But you're not going to beg. That's the first secret. Stop being overly nice. Start being centered. Attraction isn't built in the text you send. It's built in the spaces in between, where she has time to wonder about you. Now get ready, because Secret 2 flips the game entirely. This one's about unpredictability and how using just a little of it can make you dangerously unforgettable. Secret 2, unpredictability triggers obsession. Here's something most guys never realize. Women aren't obsessed with perfect men. They're obsessed with men they can't fully predict. The ones who throw them off just enough to keep them thinking. The ones who don't fit neatly into the nice guy box or the bad boy stereotype. They're the ones who text differently, who don't follow a pattern, who make her wonder what's going on in his head. That unpredictability, it's not just attractive, it's addictive. And there's a psychological reason for that. It's called intermittent reinforcement, the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. You pull the lever and you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's a big win. That unpredictability lights up the brain's reward system more than a predictable pattern ever could. Now apply that to texting. If you always reply within 5 minutes, always compliment her, always say, "Good night," you're predictable. There's no dopamine hit when your name shows up. But if one day you're flirty and playful, the next you're calm and distant, if one night you reply quickly and the next you leave her on read for hours, suddenly she's guessing. She's checking her phone more often. She's wondering if she said something wrong or if you're just busy. And that mental tension, it's powerful. This doesn't mean you play games. It means you stop being so available. You stop being on autopilot. You become a little unpredictable, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that reflects your real life. You have things going on. You're not always in the mood to chat. You're not there to entertain her 24/7. And ironically, the less you try to keep her attention, the more of it you get. Let me give you a real example. A guy once told me about this girl he was into. They'd been texting daily. Everything seemed to be going great, but suddenly she started pulling back. Dry responses, delays, classic signs she was losing interest. Instead of doubling down, he went quiet for a full day. Then out of nowhere, he sent her a single message. "Just saw something that reminded me of you." Weird how the brain works. That was it. No explanation, no follow-up, nothing needy. She replied instantly, "What did you see?" He didn't answer for 4 hours. By the time he replied, she was fully back in. Why? Because that message sparked curiosity, and the silence after it created tension. He wasn't chasing. He wasn't trying to win her back. He became unpredictable, and that shift made her chase. When you're consistent in your value but inconsistent in your responses, that's where obsession begins. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're showing her that her access to you is earned. It's not a given. That's secret number 2. Don't be her emotional comfort blanket. Be the guy she can't quite pin down. The one who lives in her mind, even when you're not texting. Now let's take it deeper. Secret 3 is the one that creates an emotional imprint she won't forget. And it starts with a tiny, unexpected move right after she starts pulling away. Secret 3, turning silence into power. What to do when she pulls away. Let's be real. One of the most frustrating moments in texting is when she starts pulling away. You notice the difference immediately. Her replies get shorter, slower, colder. She used to laugh at everything. Now it's just, haha. You used to talk for hours, now it's just a few awkward exchanges and then silence. And you feel it. That panic creeping in, like you're about to lose something that was just starting to feel exciting. Most guys react the same way when this happens. They try harder. They send a longer message to reconnect. They bring up inside jokes. They ask if everything's okay. They try to be sweet, to show her they care, thinking maybe she just needs reassurance. But that move, it almost never works. Because when a woman is emotionally pulling away, she's already halfway out the door. And chasing her just confirms why she's pulling away in the first place. This is where the Stoic principle comes in, the power of non-reactivity. When someone pulls away, the strongest move isn't to fix it. The strongest move is silence, and not a sulking silence, not the bitter, fine, be that way silence. It's the silence of a man who values his energy, a man who doesn't beg for crumbs, a man who recognizes when energy is shifting, and instead of fighting it, he pulls back too. Because here's the twist. Silence speaks louder than any text ever could. When she expects you to double text and you don't, she feels it. When she expects you to ask what's wrong, and instead you disappear calmly and completely, it creates a tension she can't ignore. You break the pattern, and that sudden shift hits her harder than any emotional confession. But silence only works if you've already shown value. If she's felt some connection, even just a little, then your silence becomes powerful. It forces her to sit with her own thoughts, to question what changed, to wonder if you're gone for good. And in that gap, she starts replaying past conversations, rereading old messages, wondering if she misread something. That's when she texts again, sometimes hours later, sometimes days. But if you hold the line and don't chase, it almost always happens. And here's where the power move comes in. When she does text back, don't act surprised. Don't make a big deal about it. Just be cool. Respond casually with that same grounded tone, maybe even slightly detached. Not cold, but not overly warm either. You're letting her feel the cost of pulling away and showing her without saying it that access to your time and attention is earned. This one shift flips everything, because now she realizes you're not emotionally dependent on her. You're not waiting around. You're not available at her convenience. And that's rare. That's attractive. So if she's pulling away, don't panic. Don't try harder. Let her feel the absence of your presence. Let her wonder. Let her come back on her own. And when she does, don't reward her too fast. Keep that calm, grounded energy. Make her earn her way back into your world. That's secret 3. And now that we've covered silence, let's move to something even deeper. The psychological hook that keeps her emotionally invested in you, even when you're not around. Secret 4, the emotional blueprint technique. Make her associate you with feeling alive. Here's a hard truth most guys never figure out. Women don't get attached to you. They get attached to how they feel when they're around you. That's it. That's the game. If texting you makes her feel emotionally flat, she forgets you. But if your energy, your words, your timing, your silence makes her feel something, she starts forming an emotional blueprint around you. And once that happens, it's hard for her to let go. This is where most men fail. They text in a straight line, logical, polite, predictable. Hey, how was your day? Cool, same here. How's work? It's not offensive, it's just forgettable. And a forgettable emotional state leads to a forgettable connection. But when you use emotional contrast, moments of curiosity, teasing, mystery, even a little tension, you make her feel alive. She doesn't remember every word. She remembers how her heart jumped when you left her on read after a flirty message. She remembers laughing at something playful you said, and then wondering if you were serious or joking. She remembers that brief moment of, wait, is he flirting with me or not? That's the emotional blueprint you want to build. Not comfort, not convenience, but electricity. Let me show you how it works. Imagine you text her something random like, you'd lose in a staring contest, 100%. That line isn't serious, it's playful. It challenges her. It's not asking about her day or telling her she's pretty. It creates a tiny moment of spark. She replies with, lol, no I wouldn't. And now you've shifted the emotional tone of the conversation. You're not talking facts. You're making her feel. You've added light competition, humor, unpredictability. Now you pull back. You don't continue it for 10 more messages. You let it simmer. She's smiling, probably rereading it. That's the blueprint. That's the hook. She starts associating you with feeling something. Fun, curiosity, play. Not just convenience. And when she's bored later, scrolling through her chats, who do you think she clicks on? Not the guy who texts good morning every day. She clicks on you because talking to you makes her feel something that life isn't giving her regularly. This is exactly why guys who create emotional contrast, even if they're not traditionally good-looking or rich, often win the girl over the safe guy who's always available. Safe gets categorized as a friend, unpredictable and emotionally engaging. That gets remembered. That gets chased. So next time you're texting, don't aim to impress. Aim to impact. Create micro moments of emotional shift. Fun, teasing, silence, unexpected compliments, mystery. Then leave space for her to sit with it. Let her miss you. Let her come to you. That's when she starts thinking about you when you're not even texting her. That's when the attachment forms. That's secret number 4. You don't want to be the guy she talks to. You want to be the experience she keeps going back to. Now let's move into something powerful and maybe a little dangerous. Secret 5 is about creating authority over text. It's what separates a casual fling from the guy she respects and secretly wants to impress. Secret 5, text with authority. Become the man she respects. Most guys text like they're asking for permission to exist in her world. Is now a good time to talk? Would you maybe want to hang out this weekend? I don't want to bother you, but let's call it what it is. Passive energy, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who sounds like he's walking on eggshells in his own conversation. Women don't want a tyrant, but they also don't want someone who's unsure of himself every time he hits send. What grabs attention and keeps it is authority, not aggression, not arrogance. Calm, centered authority. The kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to lead. That kind of energy over text, rare and magnetic. When you text with authority, your words carry more weight, not because they're louder or more clever, but because they come from a man who doesn't need approval. He invites, he doesn't ask. He moves forward, he doesn't hover. And that confidence leaks into every part of the interaction. Let's look at a simple shift. Most guys say something like, do you want to hang out sometime this week? It's vague, passive. It puts all the pressure on her to decide. Now imagine instead, let's grab coffee Thursday. I know a spot you'll love. It's direct, it's confident, it sets the tone. She can still say no, of course. But now the energy is masculine, grounded. You're leading the dynamic. Here's another example. Let's say you're texting late and she says, I'm kind of bored. A lot of guys jump in with, want to talk? Or, what do you want to do? That's soft energy. You're placing everything on her again. But a man with authority flips it. He says, bored? Come on, you're smarter than that. Tell me the most ridiculous thing that happened to you this week. Suddenly she's engaged. You've set the frame. She's responding to you. And the interaction shifts. Women are constantly surrounded by guys who play it safe, who hesitate, who try to read her mind and avoid messing up. But a man who knows who he is and isn't afraid to take up space, that man earns her respect. And respect is the foundation of attraction. Without it, nothing lasts. And here's the deeper part. When you text with this energy consistently, you slowly train her brain to look forward to your messages. Not because they're fancy or poetic, but because they feel grounded. They feel safe, strong, rare. And eventually she stops replying to guys who don't text like that. Because once she's felt your presence, average doesn't cut it anymore. That's secret number 5. Stop trying to impress. Stop asking for permission. Start owning your energy. Text like a man who knows where he stands, and you'll be the one she respects and desires. Now we're about to get into the most psychologically advanced move in this entire guide. Secret 6 is risky, but when you pull it off right, it plants you in her head in a way that's almost impossible to shake. Secret 6, the slow burn effect. How to become her mental background noise. You ever hear a song for the first time and think, yeah, it's okay. Then you hear it again, and again, and one day, out of nowhere, it's stuck in your head. Not because it was the loudest, but because it lingered. That's the slow burn effect. And when you understand how to create the same energy in texting, you don't just become a guy she likes. You become the presence that lingers in her mind when she's bored, when she's alone, when she's scrolling through her phone in silence. This isn't about being flashy. or overwhelming her with texts. It's about planting emotional seeds, quietly, consistently, that grow when you're not around. Here's how it works. You don't blow up her phone. You drop in just enough to spark something, then disappear. You don't force the vibe. You set it. You send a voice note instead of a text once. You reply late, not to play games, but because you're genuinely living your life. You send a text that's slightly deep, a little unexpected, and you leave it hanging. Something like, ever think about how some people just feel like home even when they're chaos? No emoji, no explanation, nothing to follow up. Just drop it and go. Now you've done something powerful. You've created an emotional loop, and the human brain hates unfinished stories. So she starts wondering, was that about her? What did you mean by that? Why didn't you say more? And this quiet, subtle intrigue, that's where you win. Because now she's thinking about you even when you haven't messaged in days. You're not fighting for her attention in the moment. You've already taken up space in her mind. That's the slow burn. It doesn't hit hard at first, but when it hits, it lasts. Here's the mistake most guys make. They try to create emotional impact through volume. Constant messages, check-ins, memes, reactions. But when you're always on, she never has a chance to miss you. She never has to wonder what you're doing or who you're with. You've taken away the space, and with it, the mystery. But if you build slow, with intention, if you create emotionally loaded messages that linger, not impress, if you disappear just long enough to be missed, you become part of her internal soundtrack. She could be out with friends laughing, and suddenly your name pops into her head. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made her feel in between the words. That's the power of a slow burn. Most guys burn fast and fade out. You burn slow and stay lit in the background. Secret 7 is the final piece. It's what ties everything together and cements you as more than just another contact in her phone. It's how you flip the roles completely, from the guy chasing her to the guy she starts trying to win over. Secret 7. Flip the script. Make her invest first without asking. Here's where everything changes. Up until now, you've probably been trained to believe that if you want to keep her attention, you have to do the work. You initiate. You maintain the vibe. You adjust your tone depending on hers. You carry the conversation. You keep things interesting, engaging, playful, thoughtful, all while wondering if she even appreciates the effort. Let's flip that. Because when a woman starts investing in you, emotionally, mentally, even through small actions, everything changes. Suddenly, she's not just reacting to you. She's reaching for you. And it doesn't start with begging or demanding effort. It starts with allowing the imbalance to shift. See, most guys don't give that shift a chance. The second things go quiet, they panic. They jump back in, they chase, they ask questions, check in, crack jokes, throw compliments. It's not malicious. It's just conditioning. We've been taught that women are the prize and we're lucky just to be in the conversation. But what if she's not the prize? What if you are? Not in a cocky, overcompensating way, but in a calm, grounded, self-possessed way. The kind of way that says, I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm not chasing connection with someone who isn't meeting me halfway. This is where Stoic detachment becomes your secret weapon. Because when you can walk away from the conversation just as easily as you entered it, when you're not seeking a certain outcome, you become rare. You create emotional space for her to step up. And when you do it right, she will. She'll send that double text. She'll send a meme or a song just to see if you respond. She'll ask you random questions just to keep you talking. She'll try to get a reaction out of you. And here's the key. When she does, you don't rush in with praise or approval. You respond with that same calm, self-owned energy. You engage, but you keep the frame. You receive her effort, but you don't validate it too quickly. Why? Because that makes it mean something. She's earning space in your world, and people value what they earn, not what they're handed. Let me give you a real-world scenario. Let's say she hasn't replied in a day or two. You said something flirty, she smiled and vanished. Instead of chasing, you let it breathe. A day goes by, 2 days. Then suddenly, she sends something light. Hey, random question. Do you believe in soulmates? Most guys would pounce on that, desperate to re-engage. But not you. You take your time. You read it, smile, wait. Then you reply with something like, depends who's asking. That one line, it keeps the mystery. It shows you're open, but not needy, and it makes her feel like she's the one trying to impress you now. That subtle flip in energy, that's everything. You've changed the script. Now she's the one checking your replies. She's the one wondering where she stands. She's the one working to keep your attention. And guess what? She loves it. Because deep down, every woman wants a man who values himself first. A man who doesn't get thrown off when things get quiet. A man who doesn't try to earn love with effort. Because he knows that genuine attraction is never begged for. It's pulled in through energy, presence, and self-worth. That's secret 7. Don't beg for investment. Create space for it, then reward it slowly. Because when she starts chasing you emotionally, the game isn't just changed, it's yours. Now that you've seen the full breakdown of these texting dynamics, it's time for the final shift, the one that turns knowledge into action. Final challenge. Shift from understanding to power. So now you've got the secrets. You understand how to create tension instead of comfort, how to be unpredictable in just the right way, how silence, when used with purpose, becomes magnetic, and how emotional contrast turns basic texts into mental anchors she can't shake. But here's the truth. None of it matters if you don't actually become the man who can hold the frame. Because the guy who applies this like a checklist, the guy who says, okay, let me wait 4 hours before I reply, or let me try this one-liner to make her chase, he always loses. Why? Because his energy still screams insecurity. He's still trying to manipulate the result. And that desperation, it leaks. Women feel it. But the man who actually embodies these truths, the one who lives by them, not just over text, but in real life, how he speaks, walks, works, decides. That man doesn't have to think twice. He becomes attractive by default. So here's the challenge. Stop focusing on getting her attention and start building a life that pulls attention in. Because when you're no longer desperate for a response, when you're not overanalyzing every emoji or timestamp, when you know that silence doesn't mean rejection, it's just feedback, you shift into power. Let her wonder why you're not replying immediately. Let her feel your absence when you go quiet. Let her work for your attention the way you used to work for hers. And here's the part no one tells you. When she feels that shift, she'll rise to meet you. She'll mirror your energy. She'll start trying to figure you out. Because confidence doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It sits in silence and lets the world come to it. You've learned the strategies. You've seen the psychology. You've walked through the emotional blueprint, the tension, the silence, the leadership, the unpredictability. Now the final piece, own it. Don't text to impress. Text like a man who knows who he is and watches the world adjust. Now, let's wrap this up the right way. You know what's coming. If any part of this hit home, if you felt even one shift in how you see texting, attraction, or your own value, don't just keep this to yourself. This is the kind of mindset most guys will never tap into. They'll keep sending wide texts. They'll keep chasing. They'll keep wondering why the women they want never stick around. But not you, not anymore. Because if you made it this far, you're not like most guys. You're here to take control, not just of your texts, but your energy, your presence, your standards. So here's what to do next. Tap that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. Every week I drop game-changing strategies built on psychology, Stoic philosophy, and raw real-world insight. The kind of content that makes you rethink everything you were taught about dating, communication, and self-worth. Turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. Because timing is everything, and sometimes the right insight at the right moment changes everything. And if this resonated, drop a comment. Tell me which secret hit the hardest. Tell me what shift you're going to make starting today. Because this isn't just content, it's a movement. And men who are done playing small, we move together. Let the rest keep guessing. Let them keep chasing replies. You? You become the one she can't stop thinking about. I'll see you in the next one. Stay grounded, stay dangerous.